When I was young, I suppose I had my moment where I was like chasing external pleasures, but it wasn't like the way. No, no. When I was very young, I did chase external pleasure like all the time. Like I used to do a lot of stupid things. Used to do a lot of stupid things just on a whim, just because I thought it would be cool. Heck, I used to do a lot of dumb things, and then I reached a point when I got older. I'll say about like 20 years old. I suddenly began to become aware of how much time I like wasted in doing all those dumb things. I was like, damn, I gotta make up for that time. So I kind of became a little bit of a self-improvement junkie, right? And Ray will tell you, bro, back then, there was never a moment in which I was not doing nothing. Like every second had to have a purpose. That's really how I used to behave. I think that's like a good mindset to have, that like you should use your time with intention. But I was going nuts. Like I remember I used to work 60 hours a week, and I would still work out every single day. And I remember I did not watch any fiction. Fiction I did not watch. I did not watch cartoons anymore. I would read things sometimes, but they were usually like self-improvement shit. And I did that for a long time. But then I came to realize that I just replaced one external pleasure, with another. Mm-hmm. Whereas before I was like chasing random things to make me feel good in the moment. Now I was doing something where it's like I'm chasing these status symbols and they're giving me pleasure, right? I'm trying to become a high value man. Like everybody used to literally think that.
They got the rubric for you, right?
Yeah.
Anything you want to be, there's a rubric for it. They're going to take you step by step and you're going to get there. Mm-hmm. The problem is like you have benefited from that time of just the constant self-improvement. You had better habits, everything.
It did help me a lot.
But does the rubric match me as a person?
Mm-hmm. Of course
and
not.
It's not always the case, right? There are many ways to do what's best for you, and it does come from not chasing pleasure sometimes. A lot of my growth has come from me like, I don't need this. I could go today without caffeine. I could go today without the things I love. By what point are you trading your life enjoyment for that? I hit a point where it was very difficult for me to watch any movie, very difficult for me to sit down and do anything, very difficult for me to sleep and rest, because there was always something that was going to put me in that rubric and get me towards that goal. But the goal has always been something I can be satisfied with. Yeah. That's why they have the whole man in the mirror analogy. As long as you can look at your manifestation of self and look at your past and see your future, and that guy who you see today doesn't disappoint yourself, you're on the right track. Because what is a high value man? What is all these terms? What are all these things they're selling me?
All these labels.
Right? At what point does it interfere with my enjoyment?
Yes.
Because I'm here for a limited time.
Because like that's the main point, where it's like they're both external pleasures. Like if you're chasing the high value man thing, you're just trying to placate yourself and give yourself pleasure. You don't know it while you're doing it, but you are. And if you're doing the other thing where you're trying to be like a party animal, you're still feeding two different identities. Like you're still feeding something, right? But like you said, it all comes to inner being. Like figuring out what that stable foundation for yourself is. And then like trying to live your life in accordance with that stable foundation. Like if you don't have that, you are lost. You're like a what's the analogy they always use about a boat at sea? You're just like out there with no fucking compass. You're in a dark forest.
The one thing I was gonna add to that is like, you guys bring up a great point. It reminds me of this motivational speaker that I watched. His name is Inky Johnson. He was saying that like, what's more important, what you become or what you acquire, right? Because you could have a lot of money, you could have multiple sexual partners, whatever your desire is. It's like who you become in that process of what you're acquiring. So many people focus on, when I get this, I'm gonna be this. And when I get that, I'm gonna do this. But if you're a good person all the way through, you know what I'm saying, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you obtain, because you stuck true to yourself. You were good to people. You were honest. You know what I'm saying. You maintained those core principles that translate into people wanting to be around you. But if you're so focused on, like you said, the desire or the outcome or what you acquire, that you let it affect your entire being, and that now that you acquire this thing, you're this whole different type of person that nobody wants to be around you. They don't want nothing to do with you. You severed all ties that you could have had then it doesn't matter what you acquire.
That shit really happens too.
Because you weren't true to yourself. And I think that's a very powerful thing, is like people allow what they obtain or what they achieve to dictate who they are.
Yeah, I feel like
But if you know who you are the entire journey or the entire process, it doesn't matter whether you're broke or successful. You're gonna be you.
I feel like that's a great way to. I don't even think it's like who you become. I think it's like who you are is what who you are right in this moment is what you should focus on, and focusing on the present moment and what makes you feel like you. You know,
because you can live your whole life chasing a goal that doesn't make you happy.
Yep.
And you can
or a goal that doesn't even fucking exist.
But the worst part is you may not have the life experience or the knowledge to realize that it won't make you happy.
Yeah.
Because we all get sold illusions.
That's a good point.
We all get sold illusions. Every day there's something else you could have been or could have done. You got a lot of people. You ever heard about the story of the guy who peaked in high school? He did not peak in high school. But the illusion of the high school life captivated him to a point where he could not improve.
He could not move beyond it.
You gotta realize, and it's like, what do I really want? What do I really stand for? And how much do I want to give up to prove I stand for something? And how much do I need to keep my basic stand themes? It's almost like you're in a false set of ranking system that you get to pay attention to who criticizes you. But there's only one critic you can't run from, it's yourself.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, what are you trying to do? It's a stupid question, but what are you trying to do simply says that, okay, today I'm going to decide I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
But the second your actions today interfere with your greater goal, you have to self-reflect.
Yeah.
Right? So you're constantly balancing this mix of both. And that is the way to do it. You have to balance that mix of both. Do I want to relax today or do I want to do?
Yeah.
Till you get happiness, right? Because at the end of the day, you could be rich, you could be anything, you could have this job this way. You could have lived your life 1,000 different ways, but it would never be you.
Yeah.
No, even if I was a homeless drug addict, like let's pretend I'm the homeless drug addict, just stapled down by the social order, no good, on drugs, homeless, blah, blah, blah. If that made that person happy and they were a joy to the world and they didn't bother anyone and that's just what they wanted to do, I can tell you they're 1,000 times better than the multimillionaire who is
actively destroying communities.
Just actively destroying things to keep his status where he doesn't feel proud about his destruction. Yeah. Because if that multimillionaire who was actively destroying things felt proud about it, cool. They can do that. You have the power. You have the play.
Yeah.
But if they don't feel actively happy doing that, they can't run forever.
And you put more negativity in the world.
Right. They can't run forever because that negativity is stacking, wagered against their soul.
Yeah.
The worst thing you could say is you're looking at yourself and you say, you know what you're doing.
Look at Diogenes the Cynic, right? Where he was a homeless bum, but he had things figured out and he was living in a happy existence.
No one can, if they take your happiness from you, if you start to do things that don't make you happy for the power to use to make others unhappy, you're actively decaying.
But I'll use this as an opportunity to say, because we live in an impermanent world. Like that's a theme that we've been talking about. Like the world shifts, values shift, who you should be shifts. Like every few years there's a new avatar that we all have to model ourselves after, right? Yeah. So I want to say I'm gonna ask both of you this question. What do you guys think are good values to have that are stable and permanent in an impermanent world?
I'll say I can't think of everything, but that I would live off of. But I would say, the core things is, being a good person always is going to translate. Being honest with people. Not always living for yourself, but being considerate towards other people. How your actions affect other people. The way that you being around them, how does that affect them? How could you enhance somebody's life? How could you make their day better? We was talking about off camera, going to clubs and or bars, and the guy that's sitting behind the bar making our drinks. We don't know what he's going through, or he probably don't want to be here today. But finding a way to just be a positive, or and make his day a little bit better, or make him happier about wanting to be here. And I think that's something that I internalize and try to be conscious of whenever I'm in the presence of somebody else. It's like, we don't know what demons somebody's battling. We don't know what they're going through in their personal life, and knowing that even if a small act of kindness, not even knowing how much that plays a part, or the impact that could have. And so I just try to I try to stay true to that and kind of maintain that value system of, like I said, being good, being honest, and just being considerate of other people's thoughts and feelings.
I would divide up into 3 characters. I would say morals and principles are all you have to answer to. Your own morality and your own principles are all you have to
So
answer
what
to.
are principles that you answer to?
Principles is your integrity. So
No, I mean like your specific principles.
Don't do harm, don't do malice, don't be violent, don't ruin others' day, and speak the truth. For me, it's a lot about just telling people the truth. I don't care if it puts someone else in a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't lie. I can't lie. I have to tell the truth. So that's my highest principle.
Honestly,
my morals are
Honesty.
vague because they deal with my spiritual beliefs and they deal with my actions. A moral is more of the me, because only you can really defile yourself morally. You know certain things are wrong. You know certain things don't benefit you. But lastly, you can be a real burden on humanity. And I don't think that's right. So if your morals and principles make you a burden, because some people are moralists, and they will have no problem doing harm to get their thing. But if they're a burden, they now have to answer to something else.
Yeah, you guys touch on some things that I think about a lot, where it's like, truth is something I care about a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's something I trying to live truthfully to myself, truthfully to people around me, trying not to harm others, and like even unintentionally, like I try to think of what effect my actions have on the world and the people around me. And yeah, that's a great point to make. And then like you were saying, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. But yeah, I would say like 1, trying to be honest, trying to be truthful, trying not to hurt people, thinking about how your actions affect the world as a whole. Like not even like on some like global stage
what helped me
shit.
the most
Yeah.
was realizing that feelings are temporary. Because I've responded poorly to people who are telling me the truth. I've responded good to people who are telling me lies. Well, before I knew they were lies. We have a volatile in feeling. But in that volatility of feeling, there is a you and a them, and a her or he or she. There's a person on the mirror end of it.
Yeah.
Because people have told me lies and made me feel great about myself.
Oh yeah.
But I could not look in the mirror and pretend they were telling me the truth. And when I could not look at the mirror and pretend this person was telling me the truth, I said, this person gave me a lie that hindered my progress.
It's also the ability to be self-aware, which is another value.
Oh yes, in the Stoic principles, they
and
call
that goes
it
from both sides, from yourself and to the person that you're interacting with. Their ability to receive information, right, or criticism that could be productive or helpful in their life. But they may, like I said, they might respond poorly to it, or they might feel like, you're lying to them, or you're just being overly critical. And I think those, like, when you have that ability to examine yourself, to evaluate, is this the person that I want to be? That's gonna be able to, get you to where you want to get to in life, because you're not operating on a level where you're lying to yourself, you're negotiating.
I think the number one thing they lie to people is you have to operate on a social standard of the world that has been sold to us on the internet. Right? I'm not asking anyone I know to go be a high value man and get your product sold. I'm not going to ask that of everyone.
Yeah.
To ask that of everyone to tell the artists,
He's selling a lot.
don't do your art. Right, I would be selling them a lie if I told them, okay, you gotta work out, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. The guy who's in the woods chopping trees and he doesn't care.
He's
about
living a
working
life.
out. He's not gonna be. He's taking care.
He's
of
living
he's
true to
not gonna
himself.
Be in the gym. doing some mechanical weight.
Heck, he's stronger than the guy in the gym.
Right, and usually they end up stronger. And if they do the gym after the farm life, they get
He'll be insane.
retarded, right? They get retardedly strong, right? Even though we can't say that, we gotta bleep it out, whatever. But everyone on the internet knows what that word means.
But I'll say this:
not a bad thing.
you guys are touching on a good point. Where it's like, I feel like what you just touched on this, where it's like, one of the Stoic principles is to remain sane, right? And I think all sane means is like, you have internal feelings and perception of the world, and if that's in conflict with the outer world, you'll feel pain because you want. It's just like that friction. It just feels weird, right? So like you have several options. Either you can try and shape the world to match your inner workings, which almost never works, right? It's a fool's errand, right? Or you can try. You can either just like remain apathetic, which can work if the thing is like it doesn't matter that much. Like it's like heck, even the trying to shape the world, if it's small enough, right, and you can actually impact it, of course. Like, you know, you're sitting on the bed, your legs are cold. Oh, my legs are cold. You take the sheet, cover your legs. Problem solved, right? Right? But then if you're talking about like, I gotta solve world hunger, no, you're not doing that, right? It's not happening. You can try to do little things to like reach that path, but when it comes to like trying to ignore a problem or like trying to remain apathetic, even that has its limits, right? If it's something that's directly affecting you, there's only so long you can remain apathetic to it, right? Like, I was going to use a very off-color example, but it's like, let's say...
You can't run from things that eat you.
Yeah, like say someone... Let's say you got a bully at school, he's beating the shit out of you every day, right? You can try and be like, oh, you know what? I'm just here to study. You know, I'm here to pass my classes.
Running away from the problem.
That shit's gonna eat away at your mentality, at your emotional state. It's not good for you. You gotta stand up for yourself at some point, right? So then that leads us to the other example. What do? Inner work, right? Inner work is now you have to change your inner workings to match the world, or at least to become in a state in which you're not in conflict.
I would say find the best you to handle your worldly.
Exactly.
Right?